Hello everybody and welcome to the Snap Wednesday webinar. For those of you who I haven't yet met either in person or virtually, my name is Sally Britton and I'm MD of Snap Care. Snap Care are a specialist recruitment agency and we recruit for support workers and SEN nannies and mannies for children and adults with disabilities or additional needs. So we all know the benefits of storytelling, and I think especially in this very unsettled time with COVID, storytelling has really just taken on a whole new sort of meaning now of just how important it is. So today, Libby is going to talk to us about how using Makaton with storytelling can really enhance that experience, the benefits and the considerations. And Libby is a Makaton tutor, Hands Aloud. And I should just say that this isn't a lesson, but this is just to give you an overview and an insight to the benefits and considerations, as I said, for incorporating Makaton into storytelling. There will be questions and answers at the end, and you can put your questions into the chat box. Bottom of your screen, I believe. And if you're going to ask questions at the end, you will be on the video because we're recording this. So if you don't want your you want to be seen on the recording, if you could please switch your videos off. We really like to see everybody because it's very nice for us to kind of see everybody who is taking part. But just please be aware that that will be recorded so that people can watch it later on. So I will be asking Libby some set questions, and then she will be giving us a demonstration as well for some Makaton signs and concepts. So over to you, Libby.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Some of you I recognise before, some of you have got a little bit of Makaton knowledge, and some of you are brand new to the party. So hopefully I'm going to give you a little bit of insight, as Sally said, into the wonders of Makaton, and particularly today we're talking about the benefits of using Makaton with stories. Okay, so Sally, hit me with your first questions.
Right, Libby, our first question is, what do people need to think about when using Makaton with stories?
So I'd say the first thing to think about is translations. So when we're looking at stories, songs, and thinking about the meaning of the word, not just a literal translation. For example, if you've got a story or a song that's got the line, "I'm feeling blue," it doesn't mean I'm feeling that I've coloured blue. It means I'm feeling sad. So you're really thinking that if you're making this story, these signs and symbols available for people who have communication difficulties, it's really important that you're putting the information across that is relevant as opposed to just the literal word. Today we're going to look at the book Dear Zoo. So the sign, the word dear in Makaton would mean love, my dear, someone I love. But it could also, if we're not looking at the spelling of it, could be deer as in reindeer. So we're making sure that people are understanding what kind of deer it is. So when we're talking about Dear Zoo, for example, we wouldn't do reindeer, but saying Dear Zoo, as in my love the zoo, also isn't quite right. For Dear Zoo, we're talking about a greeting at the start of a letter. So you'd address a letter as Dear Mr. Smith, Dear Zoo, whoever. So for dear, in this instance, we do the sign for hello. So it would be dear. So the meaning is understood. It's not just the word. Okay. We also need to think about the keywords, and we're signing at the level the user can understand. And if possible, they can join in. We're not trying to sign every single word in the story. We're wanting them to get understanding by not overwhelming them with too much. And the last, well, not last, but the third consideration that I'm going to mention is about symbols. So every Makaton concept has a corresponding symbol as well as a sign. And we can use these symbols in the books and actually stick them in and make it clearer for the understanding for the Makaton user.
And where can people get the signs and symbols?
Well, there's a
for
whole
different
bank of
stories?
resources. Sorry, there's a whole bank of resources that can support storytelling from Makaton themselves, the charity, and that would be at makaton.org. And there are, I think there's about 16 different stories that have been translated, and they are available to purchase and download. Sorry, so you would get a resource, a different story, and within that resource, you've got symbols and line drawings of how to actually translate and use that story yourself. So that's a resource that anybody can access.
Great, and we'll have some these at the end of this. We'll be emailing over to everybody who's attending, who signed up for this. We will be emailing over a fact sheet, so we'll have all of these links and everything for you. So don't worry if you miss any of those. So what are the benefits of using Makaton for stories?
Well, first of all, it's inclusivity. It lets our Makaton users join in with storytelling. And one of the things that anyone who spends any time with little people and reads the same stories, one thing that they know is people like to join in. The children like to anticipate what the next line is going to be, the next page is going to be. And so it helps our Makaton users join in with their storytelling. If they're not able to speak clearly, they can use the signs. Obviously, it helps with understanding and clearly showing those key signs and symbols, so the story has meaning, is incredibly important. But it also builds vocabulary, so it sneakily introduces new signs and symbols in there without making it just, this is some lessons, this is some signs we're going to learn. It's incorporating them into a loved story and makes it easier. And then also literacy skills, it demonstrates that the spoken and signed concepts relate to the written word so that the printing word has meaning.
Good. And I know you mentioned just then about little children, but of course this is going to be suitable for also for the young people and adults with maybe learning disabilities, communication difficulties.
Absolutely. Whilst the story we've chosen today is something that you would read to younger children, maybe preschoolers or reception class, you can actually extrapolate all this to older books, but remembering that you're not trying to sign every single word. You're looking through and you're making sure that that key information is getting across. So no matter the age and the ability of the Makaton user, you're signing at their ability. You're not overwhelming them. Introducing vocabulary, but not throwing too much on the plate so that people are disheartened that they can't understand.
So I know we're going to look at Dear Zoo, but are there any other books that you would say that are particularly kind of popular when people are with Makaton?
The wonderful Julia Donaldson, she's been absolutely wonderful and she's very supportive of using Makaton. So a lot of hers have got resources. We've got the books like Where's Spot and that kind of book, where it's repetitive and you're talking about positional language. And if you're looking at the story, Where's Spot, there's lots of behind and under, inside. So if you're using that as a tool to help learn those concepts, then that's a great one as well.
Yeah, very good. Well, I think we'll now go to Dear Zoo, and this is probably where we're going to have a bit of audience participation, so get your hands ready.
Absolutely. So I'm going to demonstrate some signs. Now, what we're going to use is our dominant hand. So for me, that's my right hand. And if you're left-handed, you use your left hand. So for Dear Zoo, well, we're going to use the dear as a hello, as a greeting. So it's just a nice smooth rainbow off your shoulder for dear. Zoo, we're going to finger spell zoo. So we've got a Z and then O. So our non-dominant hand is the base for our vowels. So A, E, I, O, U. So zoo is zoo. So it's our dominant hand that's doing the action and our non-dominant hand that's the base. So Dear Zoo is written and illustrated by Rod Campbell. I wrote to the zoo. to send me a pet. They sent me an elephant. But he was too big, so I sent him back. They sent me a giraffe. But he was too tall, so I sent him back. So they sent me a lion. But he was too fierce, so I sent him back. They sent me a camel, but he was too grumpy, so I sent him back. Next, they sent me a snake, but he was too scary, so I sent him back. Then they sent me a monkey, but he was too naughty, so I sent him back. Next, they sent me a frog, but he was too jumpy, so I sent him back. So they thought and they thought. And they thought and they thought. They thought very hard. And then they sent me a puppy dog. He was perfect, so I kept him. Okay, so let's just have a look at that. So on the first page, we've got a symbol for zoo. So we've only got one symbol, and that's what the story's all about. It's the zoo symbol. We haven't put the symbol for pet in there because we don't want to give away the excitement of what's going to come. So we haven't put too many symbols in. But then every time we've opened a door, we've got the symbol inside. So whilst the animal is very clear, it helps for Makaton users to make that link of a picture of the animal and the symbol, so that later on, if they're doing an activity about different animals and they can see that symbol, that they'll be able to remember and put that together. And we're making sure that we're just using the keywords. So the keywords that we'd use there were the animals. That would be the sign for animals. Sometimes we did about the size of them, or if they were naughty, the reason for sending them back. And we had some giving. So I sent it back, or they gave to me. And then at the end, the dog was just right. The puppy was perfect. So he gets a strong good. And there we go. That's Dear Zoo using Makaton.
Very good, Libby. Thank you. That just really showed just what a difference it made, and actually just as an average user, an average reader kind of thing, that was actually very engaging to have that sort of reinforcement. So if you did have some communication or learning difficulties, I can imagine that would just help so much to bring the whole story alive. So yeah, that was very interesting. Very good.
Okay, so
sorry. No, I was just going to ask if we have any questions from anybody. You can either just let us know by raising your hand. I think that works, or you can pop it into the chat box. So I should have actually said, actually, Libby doesn't want questions about how can you show the sign, but if you could do that one again, show the sign for grumpy again.
So grumpy, so we used the sign for sad for grumpy. So we kept it really cool. So we've got the core vocabulary, and for that we can use lots of different things. So sad, grumpy, so you can make your face be the expression, but those are sort of connected. And for lion, we did the sign for angry, for fierce, because when you're angry and fierce, that's sort of commingled, really, isn't it? And like we use perfect, good when we said perfect. So we're keeping the core vocabulary there, the signing, but we're speaking at the same time, and we're adding that initial vocabulary to it.
So we have a question, Libby, where can we get the training?
Well, you could get training from a Makaton tutor, and you can contact, my links will be up at the end of this, I believe. But if you are not able to attend any of the online Zoom classes that I'm doing, you could also go to makaton.org, and in there you can put your postcode and find a Makaton tutor close to you. Now, obviously, during lockdown, when tutors are able to deliver across the UK, it's not so relevant as to find a tutor close to you, but you might, in the after times when we're back face to face, you might want to find a close tutor so that you can do face to face training. But meanwhile, anyone that is able to access Zoom can access training. There's lots and lots of tutors delivering online, and you'd start with a taster session, which would be usually about an hour and a half, where we have between 8 to 12 people on the screen, and it's very interactive. So whilst here you're just watching, during an actual training session you'd have feedback and guidance on hand shapes and movement and directionality. And then after you've done a taster session and feel that you're ready, you want to jump in, then you can start with your level training. And there are 4 different levels, and the vocabulary gets more complex as it moves through those levels of training, but that will give you a really good grounding of what you can find most useful.
So we have a question, when signs change, like toilet, who updates us as users?
So that's one reason why it's a good idea to keep track of a local tutor or a tutor in general. So just to give you an example, it used to be taught toilet like this. And whilst I'm not going to wave my hand around and demonstrate, I'm sure you can all realise why isolating that middle finger and teaching people to show it around probably isn't massively appropriate. Now we teach it with the whole hand. So whilst it's still the middle finger that makes the contact, the whole hand has been deemed more appropriate. As Makaton signing, as with everything else in life, we become more aware as time goes on about what is and isn't appropriate to our current times. So this would be a sign that tutors would all know about. Tutors are given regular study days and information from the charity when anything is updated. And a really good way to keep updated to things is to be in contact on social media. I know, for example, on my Hands Aloud page, I will often put a little video on and say, just a reminder, everyone that trained 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we're doing it, just tweaked it just like this. So keeping in contact, you'll get that information.
So we have another question. How can you become a Makaton tutor?
Right. So to be a Makaton tutor, you would attend all 4 levels, and which is basically each level, in real times, each level would probably take a day of training, but online we split it up over different sessions. So each level has at least 8 hours of training. And once you've done that and really embedded it into your practice, whether it's from a professional point of view, whether it's as a parent, but just become confident with all the signs and the symbols, then you can actually apply to become a Makaton tutor and attend the training. You're then assessed that you're confident in signing and you're able to recognise all the symbols and signs that are needed. And you work with a senior tutor who will guide you through the process. It isn't a pass or fail, it's a we will help you, support you. Senior tutors guide you along and would give you the support you need in a particular area. For example, if drawing the symbols is something that is particularly challenging for you, then they'd work with you and find ways to help you memorize and recognize the symbols. If it's about hand positions and shapes, then they'd work with that as well. There's quite a bit of theory that goes into the core vocabulary in the level training. So being confident and comfortable with all of that. And then you get to attend your tutor training. It used to be 5 days residential. It has been changed now to be online, and it's split over, I think it's 3 days online, split over a length of time. Then you go away and work with a senior tutor, sit in on their training with their support, practice, and then you go back and with your assessment on that, then you have your final part. I believe that is the new route. So it's quite complex, but it is very thorough, because the Makaton charity rightly want to make sure that all the tutors that are out there and licensed and able to give training are accurate with their signs, symbol and understanding of the Makaton values.
So Jackie has just asked about showing the COVID signs again, and we covered this in our last webinar, but it is really helpful, I think. So if you wouldn't mind just re-showing the COVID signs, I think, because it's so current, it's so obviously, unfortunately, you know, so topical. We found this very helpful. That'd be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just pulled out my handy prompt to make sure I don't forget an important one. So coronavirus. Coronavirus. You do a half C with your dominant hand, not a full hand, just a half C, and then flick with 2 times that middle finger. Coronavirus. Coronavirus or COVID-19. Lockdown. Lockdown. So it's just the finger and thumb, it's not the whole hand. Finger and thumb, lockdown. Socially distancing. Socially distancing. So you're standing. So the first one is sort of by your wrist, and then you've moved up to stand by the fingertips, but your hand has moved as well. Showing distance. Home. Home. To wash your hands. To wash your hands. Soap. Soap. So you just move twice for soap. So you could really say to someone, go and wash your hands, or you could say, go and use soap to wash your hands, depending on the emphasis, if it's someone that needs reminding about the soap as opposed just to the watery bit. We all know people like that. Mask. Mask. So that's the object, to wear a mask, to wear a mask. So as if you're pulling it back towards your ears, to wear a mask. So let's have a go at those phrases. So the phrase stay at hands, face, space. We'll do that first. Hands, face and space. So we're not talking about hands so much as washing hands. So you'd say hands, face, space. Hands, face and space. And the other phrase, stay at home, protect the NHS and save lives. Again, that takes us back to our thinking about the meaning. So stay at home, that's super easy. You can do home, you can do lockdown, that would work. Protect the NHS. So we're not saying that we want someone to, our Makaton users, to stand outside the hospital with a weapon and keep away the, you know, sort of the baddies. It's not that kind of protect, but it's to help the NHS. So we would do the sign for help, to help, to help, and we'd finger spell NHS, NHS. So N is 2 fingers on the palm of our hand. H is a sweep to the end. Don't go all the way off, just to the end. S. So to protect the NHS. And to save lives. Again, we're not wanting our Makaton users to be given the message that they will have to go out and do resuscitations or stop people actually getting poorly from a physical point of view. But the phrase of the little slogan, stay at home, protect the NHS, protect lives, we do a solid good at the end. It's good. So stay at home, protect the NHS, and save lives.
Very good. Thank you. So I'm sorry that Amy, you got kicked out and you couldn't get back in. I'm so sorry. But this will be recorded and we will make it available on our website. And what we'll do is that everybody who has registered for this webinar, we'll send you out early next week. We'll send you out a fact sheet and some links, and hopefully the recording will be then up on our website, so you can revisit it. And if you wanted to look at any of the signs or concepts again. And Jackie has also posted up a link to future webinars that we'll be doing. Libby will be joining us, we're very pleased to say, in a couple of weeks' time. And but we have some thank you, Libby. But we do have some other webinars lined up as well, so with lots of different subjects. So some for support workers, some for parents, some for everybody, some for case managers. There's lots of different things that we'll be covering. And so thank you so much, Libby. That was fantastic. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. It was really nice to have a very full team, a full team of people watching. It was it gave it a really nice feel. So I hope it was useful and you enjoyed it. And I hope that we'll be seeing you for future webinars sometime in the future. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye, Libby.
Bye-bye.